5 years ago, I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace and saw my dream car, an old 2002. And it was at a price where you just say, yep, I'll take it. So I went out there, pulled it out of the field, brought it home, made sure it ran. I just put some gas, heard it run, it didn't knock. I said, great. Put it in my neighbor's building, thinking I'd start on it in a month or so. And then 5 years later, here we are. I did pull it out earlier this summer, went through the carbs, got it running pretty good. I even got insurance on it, went to go get antique plate, and I don't know, Pennsylvania changes their laws every 5 minutes, and they said, oh, you have to take pictures of it now. You used to just be able to get a plate, slap it on, you're good to go. Not anymore. And obviously, taking pictures of this, send it in, I don't think they'd have said yes. So I just parked it here, and then I ended up selling it. So here's the catch. I made a deal with the guy, but he bought it running and driving. It does not run or drive right now. It was a classic thing. He came and looked at it. He said, can we fire it up? Yeah, sure, just hook some gas up. Would not start it, of course. But like I said, we made a deal at a price, and that price is if it's running and driving. So that's what we're gonna do today. Gotta get this thing running and driving. Maybe we even take it around the yard. I've never driven this thing. I would love to. I've owned it for 5 years. So my plan is here, we're gonna put this thing up on the dollies, kind of maneuver it around here, move my truck out of here. The Porsche is still on the lift, so it's not gonna be going on the lift. We'll scoot it over there, work on it over there, and see if we can get going. So we got the car where we need it to be. So I'll just give you a quick walk around. This car is pretty cool. It's got some issues, but it also has a lot of stuff going for it. First thing is these wheels. Those are pretty good, not just the usual steel wheels. And the other thing it has going for it is the interior. It looks a little rough on first glance, but this dash is in really good shape. Headliner's in great shape. Seats not so much, but I think it would clean up pretty nicely. It's got like a blow-punked radio in there and everything, and it's got air conditioning, which is pretty cool. But, this car's, it's rusty. But where this car really's got cool stuff is under the hood. So it's got twin Webers. It's got some headers on it. The guy that I got it from said it has a cam in it, but who knows if that's true or not. But it's really these Webers that are like a lot, pretty much have the value of the car. I did rebuild these carbs last time I got this thing running. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, let's check this. I want to see if there's any juice in here. We can get the clutch going. Oh, let's get this out of there. There we go. Oh, man, it's bone dry, which could be a good thing. If I can fill this up, even if it leaks through the brakes, if I can fill this up enough to bleed the clutch, then the clutch will at least work and we can actually move it around. It's got the wrong battery, obviously. I know that the alternator's kind of loose. I did remember that this has a choke on it, which I forgot when I was trying to get it started the other day. That would have helped a lot. So I think my plan of attack here is I'm going to get a fuel system going. I'm just going to put a gas can up front, put this in there, and hook this fuel pump up to something. I was looking at the fuse box, and this one, 12, so I guess this is upside down. It goes like this. But 12 is for electric fuel pump, which is interesting because the guy pointed out, he's like, I don't know, this is probably a later engine off of a fuel injected car because it has there's no fuel pump here. But then this says electric fuel pump, so I'm not sure about that. But I'm going to try to wire this kind of into that, so it's just a key on source for this little clicky-clack pump. And then we'll see if we can get it going. Okay, I think the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of organize this. It's kind of a mess. And kind of make this fuel system a little more permanent. I'm going to get this, because every time I move this hose, fuel comes out of it all over the place, so let's get rid of that. So this clamp was just too big, so it was leaking everywhere. Let me see if I can. Oh, yep, leaking gas too. Now we're got everything nice and clean over here now. Some gas. All right, let's see. Will this mount on here nicely? I'll be right back and get my other gas can. Figure out what gas can I'm going to use. Go from there. All right, so I'm going to make up a makeshift fuel tank here. So I just got this little 2-gallon gas tank. I don't even have the right lid for anymore. But I did find this lid, which is going to work perfectly because it even has a little vent in it. So my plan is, this is going to be the pickup tube. And you know, you could just leave the cap off, toss the fuel line in, and that would work. But, you know, obviously then water's going to get in here if you let it sit outside, and the rubber will break down into the gas and make a mess. So I'm going to just kind of do it the right way so I don't have to worry about it, at least until this thing's on. So I'm just going to measure this, hit the bottom. I'm going to cut it right about here. And then once I get this cut out, I'm going to drill a hole in this cap, put this through. And then, you know, that'll be a pretty good solution. So I'm going to get this cut, and I have a tubing cutter here. Let's use this one. There we go. All right. So now, let's find a way to drill a hole in this. 21/64 seems to be the exact outside diameter of this. I'm going to try drilling into here. Drill. There we go. All right. Now let's work our way up. Uh-oh. It's already into the threads. Might have to be our vent hole. We'll see. There we go. All right. Perfect. So this is nice and snug in there, so I can, you know, set the depth. Don't have to worry about it, so we'll just come up a little bit. Yeah. I'll probably put a bend on this. I'll do that right now, actually. Where I want it. Yeah. There we go, nice little makeshift gas tank. Obviously gonna put the hose on here. I'm not gonna put a flare on this. It'll be, you know, if you don't want the hose to come off and it's pressurized, it'd be good. But if you think about it, we're sucking through this hose. So, you know, it's not gonna blow the hose off or anything like that. So that should be just fine. So, yeah, let's get this on the car and then we'll get the tubing going. Well, the one nice thing about these big bumpers is they're really great for mounting gas cans onto. That's what we're gonna do now. I guess I'm selling this guy a ratchet strap too. All right. If that's the most it's gonna fall, it'll be fine. I'm gonna put a piece of rubber under there. Try that. See, sometimes not throwing anything out comes in handy. We'll put this piece of rubber under here and hopefully that will keep it from sliding off. There we go. Alright, let's do that. Whoa! excess off, and that'll be installed. All right, fuel tank installed. All right, so I think I'm going to put this fuel pump right here. There's a mount here for some kind of tank that's not here anymore. And I'm just going to use the bolt from that. Toss that in here. Bolt's about 6 miles longer than it needs to be, but that's all right. All right, that looks good right there. Now I'm just put this hose, cut this hose shorter, plop it right there. I might put a filter in just because I know that there's some junk in this little tank I'm using. But I could put that before this also. That's what I'll do. Let's see, right there. Oop. Get another hose clamp. There we go. Oop, got fuel coming out of there. There we go. Perfect. Tighten that down. All right. Well, that looks pretty good. Okay, here's our fuel system. We've got our fuel tank, fuel line through the grill. Comes out of here, goes over here. There is plenty of clearance between the hood and that. I did check. Then we got a filter, pump, into the carburetors. And now this is also a little filter here, but I'd rather clog this one up because that's a little harder to change. And also we'll be able to see if fuel's flowing. You can also hear it, but you know what I mean. So next I'm gonna have to figure out how to power this. Like I said, I'm gonna try this fuse in here that says electric fuel pump. See if that has key on power, and I'll just use that. I gotta put an end on this so I can hook it up to here, get those going, and then yeah, I might be ready to start this thing. Next thing I want to do is see if this empty fuse here has key power. So I'm gonna hook up the battery. All right, let's see. Nothing. Oh, that is 12 volts already. It's hard to tell which way this is supposed to. Oh, so it does go this way. Oh, okay. So that's number one, actually. So one. Cigarette lighter. Okay, yeah, that would make sense that it has power all the time. It's got power. So this one as well has power with key on. Ah, nice. Does not have it with it off. So in theory, we hook up, put this on here, straight to the source here. All right. So now ideally, when I turn the key on, the fuel pump should turn on and off with the key. That'd be nice. Let's see. That works. Okay, time to put some gasoline in my gas tank here. Out of there? Yeah, all right. That. This off of here. I'm not gonna fill it all the way up in case it falls forward like you did when you're setting it up. This should be good. Probably about a gallon in there. Oh yeah. All right. This on there, halfway decent. Yeah. All right. Okay, I got everything tightened up, so I'm just going to run the fuel pump and make sure that there's no leaks. I just run it straight off of here. I'm sucking in fuel. Oop. There we go. I'm gonna fill the bowls up. Not seeing any leaks. I think we're good. All right. So that's good. We don't have any fuel leaks. I think I'm going to throw a new positive terminal on this. I actually think this battery's cooked, but it might also be the terminal, so we'll mess around with that. And then I think we can try firing it up. All right, I've got a new terminal for the positive, and I put new rings on all these random wires that are hooked up to it. So that's all set. I tested it. It cranks over nicely. I got the fuel pump wired up to this fuse for the fuel pump here. So that should turn on with the key. And I tested for leaks, no leaks, so we're good there. So I think I'm gonna push this thing out a little bit so the exhaust is outside, and we'll see if we can get this thing fired up. Just give it some choke and fire, try to see if we can fire up. A little more timing. I'm gonna put some more coolant in it. See if I can dial this thing in a little bit. Well, I ran out of time today, so it's the next day, and I think I have a plan of attack here. So the issue I was having is I really have no idea what the timing is set at right now, and it's really hard to tell because you really can't see the pulley at all down here. And there is a little hole in the back in the bell housing, and there's like a ball that spins around that you're supposed to be able to see, but it's either covered in rust or I'm just so far off I can't see it with my timing gun. So what I'm gonna do is take the valve cover off, take all the spark plugs out, which I wanna check anyways, and then I'll turn the engine, with the spark plugs out, I'll be able to turn the engine over real easily. so that I can definitely get it to top dead center. There should be a mark on the like timing chain gear here. And then I can either see if I can actually find that ball and clean it up or add some paint or something like that. And then we'll know where top dead center is. And then actually I can get good timing in here so I know what the timing is. And then I can adjust the carbs from there. Because if you adjust the carbs with the timing all off, you're never going to get it right. You're just going to be chasing your tail. So I'm going to get these spark plugs out and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm nearing top dead center. And I know that because I just watched the intake valve on cylinder number 1 open and close. So now the piston's on its way back up. So I'm just gonna stick this piece of plastic in there, in this spark plug hole. Watch it come up, and then when it's at the top, we're at top dead center. We'll see how far off we were. Oh, now I can't get in there. Of course, I gotta hold this alternator back and do all that. Oh, okay, keep coming up. Still coming up. Right there, that's right about top dead center. Anything in there? Oh man, that's annoying. I do see a mark in the crank, but I don't see anything that it would point at it anywhere. Yep, so I can see the timing mark from up top, and I can see the little pin at the bottom, but I can't see both from either end. So I think I'm going to try to... I think if I get this battery out of here, and I can kind of reach in there and at least feel that pin and kind of get it lined up that way. It's all a little ridiculous just to get the timing, but everything's tight in here. Okay. All right, I'm going to get a hose clamp, giant hose clamp. See if I can tighten this back somehow. Hook it to something. Hold that. This bushing on the alternator is just toast, but if I can get this held back, I can kind of see that a little better. And the bevel could be tighter, so let's do that. All right. Got the alternator secured. It's a lot better. So now I can just, oh yeah, okay, that's good. So now I think we're actually dead on. That little twist I just did there. Just about. Another skosh. Right there, that's exactly top dead center. Oh, yeah, sure enough, there is a little mark in there. It's not great. Barely see it. Well, anyway, so let me see here. If this was like this, yeah, so we didn't have much timing in there at all. So we were too far back, actually. You need to be advanced more. Yeah, there is a mark on there. It's just lined up perfectly with that. Okay, well now I know. I'm gonna see if I can get any paint on these marks, just so I have something to look at with the timing gun. So let me do that real quick. Some white out and a paintbrush. There we go. That should work. I'm gonna get down in here. Not great, but at least it's better than literally nothing, which is pretty much what it was before. Okay, I've got my timing figured out. I'm going to put in a little bit of advance here. Something like that. Put it, yeah, it's about there. When I was running it, that seemed crazy advanced, but Might have just been what the engine wanted and the carbs are way off, which is very likely. I'm gonna put the valve cover back on, clean these spark plugs up, put the spark plugs wires back on, and then we'll go from there. So, I'm going to set the carburetor back to the base settings. Basically just turn these all the way in, which they were way out. And then it's a full turn out. So that's half, one. Same thing this one. Half, one. Half, one. You have one. All right. So the carburetors are at the base settings. I do need to get a vacuum plug for here. And we'll fire it up and see what happens. Yeah, the battery back in here. All right, let's see how this thing runs. Get some stuff out of here. Get this stuff hooked up here. Get my timing gun going here in a second. All right, let's see if this thing fires up. What happened there? How did that come loose? And we didn't have spark, it seemed like. So check all that. Okay. The problem I'm having is the timing just keeps running away. I might have to Google something about that. Let me pause this for now.
Well, took some fiddling, but check this out. Runs pretty good. It runs pretty good. At least that's probably about as good as it's going to get. I mean, I had to go through everything. I checked the points gap way off, fixed that, checked the dwell and everything. That was good. After I fixed it, everything's just kind of wild in this car. Changed the coil. The old coil seemed to be weird. The problem I'm having is the timing is just like all over the place. So I think that there's a problem with the distributor. I'm guessing it's probably one of the springs on the weights in there fell off, because it just advances the timing out of nowhere very easily. So I think that might be the issue there. Or maybe it's gummed up in there, so it doesn't, I'm adjusting it and it's not advancing, and all of a sudden it advances or something like that. But I got it dialed in enough where it just fires up pretty easily and runs, which is good enough. And I'm sure there's 1,000 things that need replaced that would help. Like the spark plug wires are pretty toast, and coil is old, and a lot of the wiring is kind of weird, and like the coil's not really getting enough voltage. But it doesn't matter. It does run. It's all we needed to do for now. So I think I am going to go ahead and try to see if I can bleed this clutch, and then we'll see if we can get this thing moving. Basically, all I'm going to do is fill this up with fluid. I'm guessing it leaked out of these hoses. I don't know. I'm tempted to change these out, but these are, I don't know. I'm just going to end up breaking everything, so I don't want to do that. So I'm going to fill this up here, and I can actually see the nipple on the clutch slave cylinder. So I'm going to reach down there, crack that, fill this up, let it gravity bleed. Then I'll close that up, try to work the clutch, and then I might use my trick of putting a vacuum on here while I actuate it, get the bubbles out, and then we should be good to go. So we'll give that a try next. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna reach down here to the slave cylinder, loosen that nipple on there. I'll just leave that on there. All right. Get this out of here. I'm putting cheap brake fluid in it because it's probably just going to leak out. We're going to fill it up past this line so that it runs down into the clutch. There is still a little on the one end, so that's good. There is air coming out of the clutch line, so that's good. Oh yeah, I can see bubbles coming up. Is it coming out of there yet? Nothing coming out down there yet. All right, hit the clutch a couple times, see what happens. You're squirting out, so that's good. Oh yeah, okay, now it's dripping out. Let that drip out for a second. Making a mess down there, but the rear main seal on this thing kind of is toast just from sitting, so it's been making a mess down there while I've been getting it running. So I'm just adding to it a little bit here. All right, I'm gonna tighten this up. All right, that should be tight. Let's see if we have any clutch pedal. Probably not. I'll probably have to do a little better than that. Well, that feels pretty good. Not sure what's going on down there, but it doesn't sound great. Okay, well, I wanted to apply a vacuum to this because that's the easiest way to bleed a clutch. You just put a vacuum on this, pump the clutch a bunch of times, and it'll suck the air right up out of here. And I have a bunch of these caps that like screw onto different reservoirs. This one screws right on, but it's got too many threads. So it's too tall and the seal doesn't go all the way down there. So I'm gonna end up using my homemade one here again. So I'm just gonna put some juice up here. Sit that down on there. Oh, I should have got this on here. And I should be able to, yep. Yep, there we go. There's a bunch of air coming out of there. I don't know if I can reach the clutch while I'm doing that. Probably not. And then here. Oh yeah, now it's flying out. The brake pedal feel like. Oh. Okay, we got leaks on the brakes. All right, let's see how well this clutch works. I'm gonna come in here and hit it. I don't have a buddy to do it while I do this. Does it do anything? Okay, now we got the clutch bled. The last problem we have is this throttle linkage. So I've had it disconnected from the carbs because it's really stiff. It moves, but if you floor it, it just sticks. So I'm gonna see. Hopefully, I can lube it from inside the car because I don't want to crawl under here because it's super oily down there. Just move it a bunch. That's a little better, but it's still. I don't know. We'll see what I can see inside the car. So I'll show you what I got going on in here. So I was able to open this up a little bit, and you can see in there where the shaft is. So I'm going to try to spray some chain lube in there. See there. There we go. Let me try to. That's a little better. If I can get it the other side, I'd be really set. I'm gonna have to crawl under the car for that, so I'd rather not do that. Hit it one more time. All right. There's a little more actuation. All right, well, I think this thing is finally in a condition where it might actually move under its own power. So I got this all loosened up, so now it actually comes back pretty much tidal. A little bit, yeah. I didn't have the clip that goes on here, so I threw a hose clamp on there, added the spring. There's another spring back here. Janky, but it should work. I did lube that up down there on the other end of this underneath, and that seemed to help a lot. So now I just got to get this thing off of the car dollies, and we'll see if it moves under its own power. All right, it's finally time to see if this car will move under its own power for the first time in over 20 years. This good latch. While I was getting it off the dolly, I spun each wheel to see if any of them were, locked up. They were all good except for this front left. And actually, when I hit the brakes and brake fluid shot out, it was actually from the bleeder of this, which was loose. So I'm assuming at some point this was locked up and someone loosened the bleeder to try to get it to loosen up. That wasn't me though, so I'm not sure who did that or when, but I tightened that bleeder up so it might even have a little bit of brakes, who knows. But, yep, it's time. So I'm gonna open this garage door, try to fire this thing up, see what happens. I'm gonna put a towel down on the seat so I don't get a spring up my butt. That'd be nice. All right. Oh, that's not hooked to anything. No floor on the driver's side, so I can't really put my feet anywhere. All right. We're neutral. We're a pump or two. All right. That didn't sound good. All right, we're in reverse. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hey, it's moving. The brakes work? No. Sort of. All right, first gear. Hey, driving my 2002. Oh. Yep, parking brake works, that's good. Go back in reverse here. This is gonna be a lot easier to get on the trailer, that's for sure. First gear. Oh, we're just spinning tire because of that. Might have to spin around. Let's see here.
There we go. There it is. All right. Well, we can do one more. I'm going to back all the way up back there. All right, here we go. You grab a second? I think that might be the clutch slipping, to be honest. Well, it runs and drives, so that's cool. Try not to hit the garage here. Whoop. Well, it was a lot of work, but after 22 years, this thing runs and drives again. I'll tell you what, this car's pretty cool, and I kind of wish I didn't sell it. But the buyer is going to be pretty happy, because when he checked out this car the other day, it didn't even run and drive. So he got a pretty good deal. I am kind of bummed I sold it. This would have been such a cool car to get going and just kind of drive the way it is with the patina. But I just don't have time. I got like projects piling up and everything. So it was time for this one to go. Needed the space. Mine doesn't hurt either. But anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We got a lot more content coming up. BMWs, Porsches, trucks, etc. You name it, we got it. So like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.